Okay guys, so I'm going to start. I got this PDF from Card, and it's actually very helpful when you're going to give the examination. So you can refer this just before your examination. So yeah, it's basically for AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate certification. So yeah, let's get started. So EC2. So what is EC2? EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay. Amazon EC2 is a virtual machine in the cloud environment. So basically what is happening is Amazon EC2 is Amazon Web Services is kind of a cloud platform which gives you an access of pay-as-you-go model. So you don't have to provision your own infrastructure in your own environment. You don't have to procure all the infrastructure. So what you can do is like EC2 provides scalable capacity, and the instance can scale up and scale down based upon the traffic. So you don't have to so the problem which might happen when you have your own infrastructure is like whenever there is a surge of request or there is a high demand, in that case your resource still it will be fixed and you can't scale it up. And if by chance you have provisioned uh, a good amount of resources, but that won't be used in the case when the traffic is less. So in the case of EC2, it provides an auto scaling capacity. So basically what happens is you define a EC2 instance inside an auto scaling group, and based upon the request which comes to the elastic load balancer which has been attached to the uh, which acts as a target to this auto scaling group. So it routes a request to the auto scaling group, and it scales up and scales down the EC2 capability as per the request. So yeah, we will see that afterwards. So what is auto scaling group? So you do not have to invest in the hardware. I already told this. You can launch as many servers as you want, and you will have complete control over the server and can manage the security, network, and storage. So yeah, this three terms is important: security, network, and storage. So you can launch as many servers as you want, and you will have the complete control on the server, and you can manage the security, networking, and storage. So instance type. The instance type is providing a range of instance type of for various use cases. The instance is processor memory of your EC2 instance. So they haven't given the type of EC2 instances, various kind of EC2 instances. Let's see that as well. So yeah, you can see here. So EC2 instance types. So there are different type of instances which depends upon your need. So let's see what all instances are there. So the type are best used for different things. Therefore, when selecting an instance type, consider the needs. For example, a need can be the requirement of compute memory or storage. So basically, sometimes you need EC2 instance which is more capable of doing more compute. Sometimes you need more memory intensive workloads, or sometimes you need more storage related workloads. So based upon the requirement, you need to choose your own EC2 instances. So the first one is general purpose instance. So like general purpose instance, it's a balance between the computing, network, and memory, and it fits for many purposes, and most common is like application server, gaming server, backend server for companies, and small and medium databases. So the general purpose instance are best when there are balance between the resources. So yeah, so let me note down all this. So the first one is general purpose instance type. Second one is compute optimized instance. instance. So the compute optimized instance are the best when there is a need of high compute. This type are good for application server, gaming server and web application. Then we have memory optimized instances. So this type can deliver large data sets of workload. So memory is a temporary storage area. It loads from the storage and holds the data and processes in it before the compute can run. The process allows for preloading of the process and gives the CPU direct access to the computer program. The memory optimized instances are best suited when huge amount of data needs to be preloaded before the run. Yeah, similarly we have this accelerated compute instance. Then storage optimized instances. Then we have yeah, I think yeah, that's it. So what is EBS volumes? So EBS volume stands for elastic block storage. It is a block level storage that is assigned to your single EC2 instance. It persists independently from running EC2. Okay, so each of the EC2 instance will have an independent EBS block as well. Okay, so it persists independently from running EC2 instance. So the type of EBS storage are general purpose, provision IOPS, throughput optimize, hard disk drive, cold hard disk drive, and magnetic. So yeah, these all are the types of EC2 instance EBS storage actually. General purpose, provisioned IOPS, throughput optimize, hard disk drive, cold hard disk drive, and magnetic. Instance store. Instance store is a ephemeral block level storage for EC2 instance. The instance store can be used for faster processing and temporary storage of the application. Okay, what is AMI? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. AMI decides the OS install dependency libraries data of your EC2 instances. Multiple instances with the same configuration can be launched using single AMI. Okay, so AMI, it's an Amazon machine images. So what you can do is it decides the OS install dependency libraries data of your EC2 instances. Okay, multiple instances with the same configuration can be launched using single AMI. Okay, got it. Security group. Security group act as a virtual firewall for each EC2 instances. Okay, it decides the type of port and kind of traffic to allow. Security groups are active at the instance level, whereas network ACL are active at the subnet level. Okay, we'll go to this what is NACL afterwards. Security group can only allow but can't deny the rule. Okay, so by default, all the incoming request when you're trying to the security group is attached to an EC2 instance, and by default, uh, it actually by default it doesn't allow any traffic to come in, and you have to explicitly define the traffic, incoming traffic. So that's what it's saying here. Security group can only allow but can't deny the rule. The security group is considered stateful. By default, it is outbound rule. All the traffic is allowed and needs to define the inbound rule. By default, the outbound rules are all traffic are allowed and need to define the inbound rule. And this is very important. So basically what they're trying to say is like all the outbound traffic from the EC2 instance or any other resources to which you are attaching your security group. By default, it allows the outbound traffic, but the inbound traffic is restricted by default, and you need to define that inbound rules. So suppose in case you are trying to launch an EC2 instances, and in that when you're trying to launch an EC2 instance, definitely you will have a default security group attached to that EC2 instance. So what you will do is like when you try to go and do an SSH to your EC2 instance, you might not be allowed to access the EC2 instance because there is no incoming inbound TCP or SSH connection configured to your EC2 instance. So that's the reason this security group is very important. So yeah, it's actually not for even EC2, but also for various other resources. Like for example, you are configuring your own virtual private network, and in that case, you need to assign you need to add a security group for that as well. So a key pair is consisting of private key and a public key. Is a set of security credentials that you can use to prove your identity while connecting to an instance. Yes. So whenever you create an EC2 instance, you will uh, Amazon will create key pair a private key for you. It can be private or public key, and you have to save it secure in a secure manner. And using that is key pair, you can actually connect to your EC2 instances. Amazon EC2 instance uses two key. One is public key, which is attached to your EC2 instance. Another is private key, which is with you. You can get access to EC2 instance only if these keys get matched. Keep the private key in a secure place. Tag. Tag is a key name you assign to your AWS resources. Tags are identifiers of the resources. Resources can be organized well using the tags. Okay, so basically when you are creating a EC2 instance, so at that time you will get an option to add a tag. So you can add tag something like this. So it's basically a key value pair, right? Key and value. So in this one you can add key as owner and value as Rahul, which is my name. Then you can add one more key like environment. Environment is dev environment. So yeah, similar fashion you can do that. You can add key value pairs using this tag. And pricing, you can get different pricing options such as on demand, saving plan, reserve instance, and spot instances. So this is also a very important different type of pricing models for each EC2 instances. On demand, saving plan, reserve instance, and spot instances. So it's an overall a very it's a kind of a deep, you need to deep dive into the different kind of pricing. We will see once we complete this course, I think at the end of this course. So yeah, but yeah, let's make a note for that as well. Pricing options. Pricing options. So one is on demand saving reserve, on saving plans, reserved, and on spot instances. Yeah, these four types of pricing options are there. Let me save this file in a safe place. That's fine. Let's move forward. AWS Batch. What is AWS Batch? Batch allows all the developers, scientists, and engineers to run thousands of computing jobs in AWS platform. It is managed service that dynamically maintains the optimal compute resource like CPU memory based on the volume of submitted jobs. The user just have to focus on the application like shell script, Linux code, or Java program. It executes workload on EC2, including Spot instance and AWS Fargate. That's very good. Why Spot instance? That's a really good question. So while running AWS batch, what is why we have to use Spot instance or AWS Fargate? That's a different set of question. We will answer it afterwards. So first see what is AWS batch. So it's basically it allows developers, scientists, and engineers to run thousands of computing jobs in AWS platforms. It is a managed service that dynamically maintains the optimal compute resources like CPU. memory based on the volume of submitted jobs. What we can take it out from this statement? It's a very important statement. What is managed service? So in AWS there are various managed service. So suppose if you are AWS Cloud Formation is there, right? Cloud for Formation, or if it is AWS CloudFront, or many other like Amazon S3 buckets. This all are managed services. So what managed service do is like it dynamically maintains the optimal compute resources like CPU memory based upon the volume. Okay, so managed service automatically maintains the optimal resources, optimal compute memory and network resources based on the incoming load. And one more important thing which they are trying to say is AWS batch is it will be executed in either in spot instances or AWS Fargate. Components. So what all components are there in AWS jobs? AWS batches. Components are jobs, job definition, job queue, compute environment, scheduler. So jobs are the fundamental application running on the AWS EC2 machine in the containerized form. Okay, it will be running in the containerized form. Job definition define how the job is meant to run. Just a minute, okay. Define how the job is meant to run. This is associated IAM role, vCPU requirement, which is virtual CPU requirement, and the container property. Okay. Job queue resides in the job queue. Job resides in the job queue where they wait till they are scheduled. Okay. So first thing is job, which gives a fundamental. So basically, it's a fundamental application which will be running inside your EC2 instance. So the job can be in various programming language. It can be actually in any programming language. It can be Java, Python, or any other thing. And the job definition basically defines how the job is meant to run. Okay. Job queue is basically they maintain AWS maintains a queue of jobs, and all the requests are processed sequentially in sequential manner, such that no jobs are missed, or if there is any missed in the job, then there is another concept of dead letter queue, which will we will go in another call. So the fourth one is compute environment. So each job queue is linked to a computing environment which is itself contains the EC2 instance to run containerized application. Yeah, each job queue is linked to computing environment which is itself contains the EC2 instance to run the containerized application. There are two types of environment: managed, where the user gives minimum and maximum vCPU EC2 instance, and AWS runs it on behalf of the unmanaged, where you have your own ECS agent scheduler maintain the execution of jobs submitted to the queue at the time of dependencies as time and dependencies. Best practices: use Fargate if you want to run the application without getting into EC2 infrastructure detail. Let's AWS batch manage it. Okay, so this is a very good point. Use Fargate if you want to run the application without getting the into the EC2 infrastructure detail. Let the AWS batch manage it. Okay. So what is AWS Fargate? So AWS Fargate is a serverless pay-as-you-go compute engine that lets you focus on building the application without managing the server. AWS Fargate is compatible with both Amazon Elastic Container Service and Amazon Elastic Kubernetes services. So basically, it's a serverless model. So basically, you don't have to take care of the underlying infrastructure. It will auto scale. So it's basically a managed service. This is also a managed service, and based upon the requirement, um, you don't have to scale up or scale down your EC2 instances. That will be taken care by the AWS resource itself, and you have to just focus upon your application and more towards your business goals. So that is what AWS Fargate is. So let me take this out. What is AWS Fargate? So AWS Fargate is a serverless pay-as-you-go computing engine that lets you focus on building application without managing servers. Okay, got it. Okay, let's proceed further. Use EC2 if your work scales is very large and you want to get into machine specification like memory, CPU, and GPU. Use EC2 in your work scale is very large and you want to get into machine specification like memory, CPU, and GPU. That's correct. So when you use Fargate, you don't have much control over the underlying infrastructure, which is your memory, CPU, or another networking infrastructure. So in that case, if you want to get more control and your work scale is very large, so use EC2 instances. Job running on Fargate are faster on startup as there is no time lag in the scale up operation. Unlike EC2, while launching the new instance may take time. Got it. Use case. Yeah, this is very important. Stock market and trading. The trading business involves daily processing of large data and loading them into data warehouse for data analytics so that your prediction and decisions are quick enough to make the business grow on the regular basis. So yeah, just let me zoom in here. So basically what is happening is you have a analytical tool and it is going to do a stock market trading analytics for the upcoming days or for intraday trading or many other things. So what will happen is like you will have a bulk of data and those data will be kind of a data lakes and you have to extract those data and you have to periodically do some data computation on top of it so that you can get your required analytics. So in that case you can use this AWS batch. This is the first use case. So here you can see, just let me zoom in more. So yeah, you can see like there are many data points like AWS data files, apps. So now it is going inside this EC2 send post trade data to AWS object storage. So it has been stored in S3 bucket. Then AWS batch configure resource and schedule when to run data analytics workload. So once this is done, you will run big data on top of it. So run big data analytics tool for appropriate analysis and market prediction for next trading day. Then after that, once you get the response, you store the result further for further analytics for long term. So yeah, that's the first use case. Media house and entertainment industry. Here is a large amount of data in the form of audio, video, and photo are being processed daily to cater their customer. This application workload can be moved to container and to AWS batch. So that's what the same thing as the above one. So basically it deals with huge amount of data. So you can have a various amount of data in industry, in the entertainment or media industries. It can be in the form of audio, video. It can be It can be photos or many other things. So you need to process and you need to cater your customer on the regular basis. So what you can do is like you can offload this workload to AWS batch. So AWS batch, as you all know, like it will be containerized. It will be running. It will be much cheaper, and it will have AWS Fargate in most of the scenarios. So using that, that will be more efficient, and the design of your application will be more resilient. So here you can see like graphical artist create the blueprint, schedule renders the process job in the pipeline manager, submit render job to AWS batch, prefetch of the content from S3, on-prem another location, launch the distribution job across the render farm, effectively managing dependencies, and it manages the license appropriately, post right back to S3 or output location. Okay, got it. There are no charges for the AWS batch, rather you run. Okay, there is no charges for AWS batch, rather you pay for the resources like EC2 or Fargate you use. Okay, so what they're trying to say is like there is no additional charge of using AWS batch, but when you're running this batch processes, it uh, underneath it uses EC2 or other computing resources, right? So you will be charged for that resources, not for this AWS batch resource separately. Okay, so next is AWS Beanstalk. Okay, let's continue it after some times. Thank you so much.